महा महोत्सव की, श्रीमती राधा रानी की, the most beautiful Shri Shri Radha Golokananda ki, Radha Sham Sundar ki, Shri Giriraj Govardhan ki, Go Nitai ki. ISKCON founder Acharya, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki, His Holiness Bir Krishna Goswami Maharaj ki. Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone. Very, very special day. Today is a divine appearance of Srimati Radharani. So thank you everyone for joining. So we have a very wonderful program. Actually, up to this point, we had 6 hours of kirtan from 10:30 in the morning. And many devotees have been coming and singing for the pleasure of Shri Shri Radha Golokananda. So thank you for all the devotees who have been singing for the Lord. Just that whole kirtan going has created such a nice mood, such a nice offering for the pleasure of their lordships. Now we'll have, immediately after announcements, we'll have a talk by His Holiness Bir Krishna Goswami Maharaj on the glories of Srimati Radharani. After the talk, we'll have Abhishek of Shri Shri Radha Sham Sundar. So we'll have beautiful Abhishek ceremony. Everyone can participate, bathe Shri Shri Radha Sham Sundar. And then after that, we are going to have a very special surprise. And Maharaj will tell us about the surprise. And then after that, we have a beautiful drama on a pastime of Radha and Krishna, and then Prasadam. So that's our program. We'll have Katha, then Abhishek, a very special surprise, drama, and Prasadam. So the whole program, we can really get absorbed in the mood of Srimati Radharani. So let's really open our hearts, pray for her mercy, and through all these programs, beg for the mercy of Srimati Radharani and pray for her. Right? Pray to her, sorry. Also for this auspicious day, if anyone would like to sponsor, we have different sponsorship opportunities. You can sponsor the Abhishek and the Artik for $108. You can sponsor the new DT outfit that you're seeing. This new DT outfit today for $501. The flowers for $501 and the feast for $301. So if you'd like to make any sponsorship to this very auspicious day, please let me know if you'd like to do any sponsorship for the pleasure of Srimati Radharani. So thank you so much. So I request everyone, if you can kindly please come forward for the class. We have many devotees who will come during the class, especially today on a festival day. Our temple room is going to be fully packed. So if you can come as close as possible. Thank you. Thank you. And all the kids also, the group in the center, if you can kindly please come closer. Okay. Thank you so much. No. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Thank you all for joining us. And we just have one drum player here? Okay. Now, don't play it until I tell you to play it, because we're going to start softer. I'm used to soft kirtans, a little old. Yeah, a little old, very old. So my style's a little bit different than, anyway, I think you get it. So we're going to chant this very nice song you're going to chant in response. And we actually have 2 songs before we talk about Srimati Radharani. One song is very easy, Radhe Radhe Govinda. And it's a very easy melody, and she all responds. And I'll tell you when you start playing, because in the beginning it's real soft. And don't break the drum heads, okay? I'll tell you if you need to cool it a little bit, okay? Radhe Radhe Govinda, Govinda Radhe. 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 Not yet. Radhe, Radhe Govinda, Govinda Radhe. 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 Louder. Radhe, Radhe Govinda, Govinda Radhe. Okay. Radhe, Radhe Govinda, Govinda Radhe. Radhe Govinda, Govinda Radhe. Radhe, Radhe Govinda, Govinda Radhe. Govinda, Govinda Radhe. Radhe, Radhe Govinda, Govinda Radhe. Radhe, Radhe Govinda, Govinda Radhe. Govinda, Govinda Radhe. Radhe, Radhe Govinda, Govinda Radhe. Radhe Govinda, Radhe Govinda, Radhe Govinda, Radhe Govinda, 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 Radhe Govinda. Govinda Radhe, Govinda Radhe, Govinda Radhe, Govinda Radhe, Govinda Radhe, Govinda Radhe. Radhe, Radhe, Govinda, Govinda Radhe. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Fast. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Faster. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Radhe Govinda, Radhe Govinda. Radhe Govinda, Radhe Govinda, Radhe Govinda, Radhe Govinda, Radhe Govinda, Radhe Govinda. Okay. And then we'll do a song from our songbook. For some of you may know, it's called Sri Radhika Stava by Srila Rupa Goswami. And it's about Srimati Radha Rani. You can play the drum with this. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Jai Jai. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Jai Jai. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Jai Jai. You can follow my rhythm. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Jai Jai. 2, 3, 4. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Jai Jai. Gokula Taruni Mandala Mahite. 2, 3, 4. Gokula Taruni Mandala Mahite. Gokula Taruni Mandala Mahite. Gokula Taruni Mandala Mahite. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Jai Jai. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Jai Jai. Damodara Vardhana Veshe Urinis Kutabrina Vipineshe. 2, 3, 4. Damodara Vardhana Veshe Urinis Kutabrina Vipineshe. Radhe Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Jai Jai. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Jai Jai. Vrishabhanudare Navasashileke Lalita Saki Guna Ramita Vishake. 2, 3. No, Banudare Navasasheleke Lalita Saki Guna Ramita Vishake. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Jai Jai. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Jai Jai. Karunam Karumai Karuna Parate Sanaka Sanatana Vani Chacharite Karunam Karumai Karuna Bayite Sanaka Sanatana Vani Chacharite Rad Hey Jaya Jaya Madhava Jai Jai Radhe Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Jai Jai Gokula Tarune Mandala Mahite Gokula Tarune Mandala Mahite Gokula Tarune Mandala Mahite Gokula Tarune Mandala Mahite Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Jai Jai Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Jai Jai Jaya Radha Golokanana Radha Golokanana Dragate Nayarat Hagorukanana Rana Gorukanana Dragate Nayarat Hey Nane Nayarane Nayaragate Nayarat Hey Rane Nayarane Nayaragate Naya Prabhupada 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 Jila Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paracharya Also Teta Satashi Shimad His Divine Grace Abhaya Chantananda Bhaktivedanta Goswami Marshila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Anantakoti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shidwaita Gadadha Shiva Siddhi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radhakrishna Gopi Gopinath Shyam Mukunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavanam Ki Jai Mathuram Ki Jai Jagannath Swami Ki Jai Munamai Ki Jai Shrimati Lasi Devi Ki Jai Samveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga Shilabhopad Ki Jai Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Budale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Samani Jinamani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pachari Nivashesha Sunyavadi Paschacha Deja Tarni Omagana Timidanda Shah Gananjana Shalakya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shigadaveda Maha. So, by the mercy of His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada, I'm getting the opportunity to speak a little bit about Srimati Radharani, although I am not really that qualified. But Srila Prabhupada is qualified, and somehow or other he has asked me to do this, so I'm doing this. So first let me read the translation of this poem by Srila Rupa Goswami. And it's a beautiful poem known as Sri Radhika Stava. The poem goes as follows. O Radha, all glory is unto you, beloved of Madhava, object of worship for all the young girls of Gokula. You dress yourself in such a way as to increase Lord Damodar's love and attachment for you. You are the controller of Vrindavan, the pleasure groves of Lord Hari. You are a new moon arisen from the ocean of King Vrishabhanu, and you are the friend of Lalita, and your wonderful qualities, friendliness, kindness, and faithfulness to Krishna, endear you to Vishaka. You are an ocean of compassion, and your divine characteristics are described by the four Kumaras, Sanaka, Sanatan, Sananda, and Sanat Kumar. O Radha, please be merciful to me. So today we are going to talk about who Srimati Radharani is. I know you're all expecting so many stories, and there'll be maybe a few stories, and we only have a half an hour. So, oh, I was supposed to make a special announcement. Okay, the announcement is after the Abhishek for Radha and Krishna takes place right after the class. So after the Abhishek, which will probably take about an hour, we're going to have a groundbreaking ceremony. Because as some of you may know, we're constructing a new temple for Shri Shri Radha Golokananda, and it's going to be on the same premises. And we start construction pretty much a week or two after Radhastami. And the first aspect of the construction, just to fill you all in, is going to be the making of a parking lot across the street. I know everybody's parking right now across the street, but it's going to be a formal parking lot with a formal cross place for crossing the road so you all don't risk your life every time you're coming to the Hare Krishna temple. And hopefully we're going to get a light there, stop, some sort of blinking light like I have in the streets. That's what we're going to try for. That's going to be the first aspect, and then the temple is going to be constructed. Hopefully our contractor says by next Janmashtami. Well, anyway, that is up to Krishna. That is up to Krishna. I remember when we started the project here, we had so many plans, but it kept raining, and it held us up by months and months and months, and then I got very angry at Indra, but that didn't do any good. I did the opposite of an Indra puja. It was the Indra anger, so it didn't help. So let's get started talking about Srimati Radharani. So let's talk about what we call, this is a little fancy word, her ontological position. In other words, who is she? Now, you may say, well, she's Krishna's girlfriend, right? Some of you may say that. And actually, in the Vedic context, in those days, there was no question of girlfriends. Nowadays, we are in America. So we have girlfriends, boyfriends, and all sorts of things in between. But in those days, it wasn't someone had a girlfriend. Either they were married or they went to, anyway, a lady who had a certain profession. But it wasn't a girlfriend. Everything was different in those particular days. And so, because Srimati Radharani had this relationship with Krishna, which is sometimes termed as a lawless relationship, then she actually, in essence, rejected had society, had no place in society, so she could associate with Krishna. So what that indicates, before we talk about her ontological position, is that for those of us who want to surrender completely to Krishna, we have to give all attachment up to normal society. And of course, I did that when I joined the Krishna consciousness movement, that actually I left my present society, my past society, and joined the Hare Krishna society. Anyway, so Srimati Radharani is completely surrendered to Krishna because the position she took to serve Krishna is outside of the Vedic culture. But ultimately, it's inside the Vedic culture because everyone is connected to Krishna. And what's really outside is if we think that someone else is our husband or wife, or we can possess someone. You follow that logic? It's interesting. But anyway, we're not going to go further into that logic. But who is she? She is the Shakti of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now we hear in the Vishnu Purana, Vishnu Shakti Para Prokya Shechak Jakya Tatapara Avidikarma Sanganya Tratir Shakti Ishate. That the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, who is non-different from Krishna, has different Shaktis. Now, here we're talking about three different Shaktis. Vishnu Shakti Paraprokta. So that's called the Para Prakriti, the spiritual energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Shakti means energy. So Vishnu Shakti Paraprokta, and Srimati Radharani is the personification of the spiritual potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And all the other aspects of the spiritual potency expand from Srimati Radharani. For example, we have Srimati Radharani, who expands as the primary gopis in Vrindavan, and these associates of Srimati Radharani, who are her expansions, ultimately expand as the wives of Krishna in Dwarka. And this energy of the Lord, well, Srimati Radharani, expands ultimately as Lakshmi, who is associated with Lord Vishnu. And then we see all these various incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, like Lord Ramchandra, Lord Nrsingadev, who you've all seen a movie of recently. And they all have as their consort, their counterpart, an expansion of Srimati Radharani. There's Lakshmi Nrsinga, Lakshmi Narayan. There's Sita Ram. And these are all expansions of Srimati Radharani. And of course, when you come to the material world, just like Krishna expands in various Vishnu Tattva expansions, but then he expands in order to contact the material energy as Rudra, Lord Shiva. In the same way, Srimati Radharani expands an expansion of expansion of expansion as Durga. So we have the internal potency of the Lord, Vishnu Shakti, Paraprokta, and then we have something very interesting, which is all of us. Kshetragyakya Tata Para, which means those who are knowers of the body or have a body. That's us. So Tata Para means in Sanskrit, we are also transcendental. But because we're marginal, we have the ability to choose between the Paraprakriti and then the third part of this verse, Avidya Karma Sangyanya Tritiya Shakti Ishate. There's the material energy, which actually is personified by Durga, and we can choose between Durga and the spiritual energy of whom Srimati Radharani is the source of. So we have that choice. Now, if we choose Durga, guess what? Guess what? No, I guess you can't guess. Durga rides on a trident, on a tiger, sorry. And she holds a trident. And that trident has 3 forks on it. And those 3 forks are the 3-fold miseries: Adhyatmic, Adhibodhic, and Adhidaivic. Miseries from your body and mind. And we've all experienced that, right? Sometimes we have headaches, sometimes we feel sick. Miseries from other living entities. I'm sure that none of you experience that. I experience that every time I look at the news. And there's so many living entities on the news. And miseries from the material nature, too hot, too cold, like that. So we could choose, we have this choice. But if we want to be happy, that is Satchidananda, to realize our original spiritual nature, then we surrender to Srimati Radharani, or we approach and serve Srimati Radharani. So that is our choice. So, actually, we mentioned all this already. So if we want to understand Srimati Radharani, and if we want to surrender to her, we have to understand her mood. And so what is her mood? And I'm going to read some interesting verses from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, from the last chapter of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Anjalila, that describe the mood of Srimati Radharani. So this is in reference to the last verse of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Shikshashtaka. I'm sure most of you know this. Ashli Shiva Padap Radham Panashtamam Darshanam Maratam Karotuva Yata Tata Va Vedatu Lampato Mat Prananatas Tu Sevanapara. So I'm going to give the translation that Prabhupada gives in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, not the one that you're accustomed to. Let Krishna tidily embrace this maidservant who has fallen at his lotus feet, or let him trample me or break my heart by not being visible to me. He is a debauchee, after all, and he can do whatever he likes, but still, he alone and no one else is the worshipful Lord of my heart. I'll read a little more. I am a maidservant at the lotus feet of Krishna. He is the embodiment of transcendental happiness and mellows. If he likes, he could tightly embrace me and make me feel oneness with him. Or by not giving me his audience, he may corrode my mind and body. Nevertheless, it is he who is the Lord of my life. My dear friend, just hear the decision of my mind. Krishna is the Lord of my life in all conditions, whether he shows me affection or kills me by giving me unhappiness. Sometimes Krishna gives up the company of other gopis and becomes controlled, mind and body, by me. Thus he manifests my good fortune and gives others distress by performing his loving affairs with me. Or since, after all, he is a very cunning, obstinate debauchee with a propensity to cheat, he takes to the company of other women. He then indulges in loving affairs with them in front of me to give distress to their mind. Nevertheless, He is still the Lord of my life. I do not mind my personal distress. I only wish for the happiness of Krishna, for his happiness is the goal of my life. However, if he feels great happiness in giving me distress, that distress is the best of my happiness. Think about that for a second. That distress is the best of my happiness. That is Srimati Radharani's mood. And so, in other words, we have some more verses here. Actually, let me finish the verses here. If Krishna, attracted by the beauty of some other woman, wants to enjoy with her, but is unhappy because he cannot get her, I fall down at her feet, catch her hand, and bring her to Krishna to engage her for his happiness. When a beloved gopi shows symptoms of anger toward Krishna, Krishna is very satisfied. Indeed, he is extremely pleased when chastised by such a gopi. She shows her pride suitably, and Krishna enjoys that attitude. Then she gives up her pride with a little endeavor. Let's skip a little here. If a gopi envious of Krishna satisfies Krishna and Krishna desires her, I shall not hesitate to go to her house and become her maidservant, for then my happiness will be awakened. Krishna is my life and soul. Krishna is the treasure of my life. Indeed, Krishna is the very life of my life. I therefore keep him always in my heart and try to please him by rendering service. That is my constant meditation. My happiness is in the service of Krishna, and Krishna's happiness is in union with me. For this reason, I give my body in charity to the lotus feet of Krishna, who accepts me as his loved one and calls me his most beloved. It is then that I consider myself his maidservant. And here's the last verse. Service to my lover is the home of happiness and is more sweet than direct union with him. The goddess of fortune is evidence of this, for although she constantly lives on the heart of Narayan, she wants to render service to his lotus feet. Therefore, she considers herself a maidservant and serves him constantly. So this is Srimati Radharani's mood, to simply give Krishna service. And this mood is actually mentioned by Srila Rupa Goswami in the beginning, the nutshell verse of the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Anyabi lashata shunyam jnana karma navratam anukulyena krishnanushilanam bhaktir uttamam. So to please Srimati Radharani, one needs to come to that platform. Anyabi lashata shunyam, being free of any other desire other than to please Krishna. So the question is, how do we come to that platform? Because that's a very high bar, isn't it? Because thinking about it, being introspective, we have this desire, that desire, that desire. Well, we are very fortunate that we have been given by Srila Prabhupada and the Acharyas in our disciplic succession the process for coming to that platform. And that process is called Vaidhi Bhakti. And the Vaidhi Bhakti process is a process of regulated chanting, following certain rules and regulations, doing deity worship. And by doing this, then going back to the Shikshashtaka, Cheto Darpanam Arjanam Bhava Mahadvagni Nirvapanam. What does this verse mean? Cheto Darpanam Arjanam. The heart becomes cleansed. So it is a gradual process. But this is the goal that we're hearing about in terms of Srimati Radharani's words. But we know it is so gradual that what? Bahunam Janmanam Ante Jnanamam Prabhajate Vasudeva Sarvamiti Sama Atma Sadurlava. It may take many, many births and deaths. So you may think this is very discouraging, that it will take many, many deaths and births to reach this particular situation, this particular platform. But the interesting thing is that if you engage in this process of Krishna consciousness, Vaidhi Bhakti, and culminate in Raganuga Bhakti, and Bhakti Bhakti, and Prema Bhakti, then you will experience great pleasure, even in the beginning. Your whole life will become auspicious, even in the beginning. So this is what our goal is, to achieve the service of Srimati Radharani. So, this morning we were hearing that if you want to achieve the service of Srimati Radharani advance very quickly, then there is a method prescribed by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, and that is to share Krishna consciousness with others. And Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, of course, says that no one will be more dear to me than those who share Krishna consciousness with others. So everyone's duty here is to share Krishna consciousness with others and get special mercy, special dispensation, and then maybe you'll be able to go back to home, back to God in this lifetime, become a pure devotee in this lifetime. So this is the mood of Srimati Radharani. Very, very high platform. Very, very high platform. Sometimes people look at her pastimes with Krishna through mundane eyes, and they think, well, it's a girl associating with a boy, or Krishna likes to have some mundane. It's not a mundane relationship. Krishna has no mundane relationship. Krishna doesn't even touch the material energy. When Krishna expands to touch the material energy, that's Lord Shiva. That's not Krishna directly. That's Lord Shiva. Krishna does not touch matter. Try to remember that. So the second subject matter I wanted to talk about today was something very interesting. Many people in India have not really heard about Srimati Radharani before, right? Because if you go around India, generally they're worshiping Sita and Ram, Lakshmi Narayan, and sometimes there's some controversy that people will say, well, we don't accept Srimati Radharani. People actually say this. Actually, I'll give you an instance in history where this occurred. One time in Jaipur, the deities of Radha Govinda were taken there. And they were taken there because Jaipur was attacked by the Mughals. And when they were taken there to Jaipur, the king of Jaipur in Rajasthan was approached by some pundits who were followers of a particular sect called Ramanandis. And these pundits said, we have never heard about Krishna and Radharani. And so, and they said, basically, and I'm going to prove them wrong in a second, their whole opinion is wrong, and they said, we do not agree with Radha and Krishna being worshipped on the same altar. Can you imagine if some pundits came here to New Goloka and say, we don't believe with Radha Golokananda should be on the same altar. Let's take Radharani and put her in a separate temple. They'd have to kill me first before they did that. So they did that. They went to the king, and the king got bewildered, and he took Srimati Radharani, the deity of Srimati Radharani, and he put the deity in a different temple. And when this great devotee, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, heard about it, he got so upset, but he was too old to go and philosophically defeat, these Ramanandis. So what he did is he sent one of his associates. Does anyone know who that associate was? Baladev Vijayabhushan. And Baladev Vijayabhushan went there, and he had an argument with the Pandits, and he won, but the Pandits said, you have no Shastric reference. And so he thought about that for a second, because in those days they considered Shastric reference to be a commentary on the book called the Vedanta Sutra. So you have no commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. Of course, we do have a commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. What is that? Srimad Bhagavatam. But they did not accept that. And so what happened is that he prayed to the deity of Govinda Dev. And Govinda Dev dictated to him from within the heart this whole commentary on the Vedanta Sutra called the Govinda Bhasha. And then he presented that, and Krishna and Radharani were again put on the same altar. Now, there's an esoteric reason for this happening too. Esoteric means something that most people don't understand. And the esoteric reason was that Radha and Krishna had an argument. So, but that's not going to happen in this temple. And therefore, Radha and Krishna were separated. But there is a lot of Shastric reference to the existence of Radha and Krishna, or Radharani's name even, mentioned in many, many Shastras. And I'm going to prove this now. First of all, reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, which makes an indirect reference to Srimati Radharani. And there's a reason for that. Okay, we're going to read this one verse, which is actually one of my favorite verses in the Bhagavatam, which is 10:30:28. Anyone's heard of this verse before? Anaya radito nunam bhagavan harir ishvara yanno vihaya govindao preto yam anyad rahal. So this is after Krishna left all the gopis, and Krishna took Radharani with him. And the other gopis are looking for Krishna. And then they see two sets of footprints. And what they say here is certainly this particular gopi. That's the indirect reference to Srimati Radharani. That's Anaya Radhiko. Has perfectly worshipped the all-powerful personality of Godhead Govinda, since he was so pleased with her that he abandoned the rest of us and brought her to a secluded place. So why is this indirect reference to Radharani there rather than a direct reference? And there are direct references in other Shastras, and I'm going to make a few quotes from these. I'm going to quote a few of those. For two purposes. One is Shukadeva Goswami was such a great devotee of Srimati Radharani that had he mentioned Radharani's name directly, the Bhagavatam would not have been finished, and poor Parikshit Maharaj would not have heard the end of the Bhagavatam, because he would have gone into ecstasy. That's one reason. But there's another esoteric reason, is that certain gopis, such as Radharani's associates like Lalita Devi, they recognized it was Radharani's footprints, and they didn't want to mention that to the other gopis, because the other gopis would have gotten very, very upset. So this is mentioned by the Acharyas, and I have a whole commentary here that I'm not going to read. But there are so many quotes about Radharani directly mentioning her name in Vedic literatures, and this proves the point that Radharani is Krishna's eternal consort, the Ladini Shakti, Paraprakriti. So this is from the Padma Purana. Radharani's name is actually mentioned in the Padma Purana. I'm not going to read the whole quote. It's actually quite a long quote, and we don't have that much time. But even Shripad Shankaracharya, in his famous poem, the Jagannath Ashtakam, mentions Srimati Radharani. Param Brahma Pida Kuvalya Dora Pula Nayano Nivasi Niladro Nihitik Charano Ananta Shirasi Rathanandi Radha Sarasa Vapura Lingana Shuko Jagannatha Swami Nayana Patagami Baba Tume. And the translation is, who is the crown jewel of transcendence, whose eyes are like the petals of a fully opened blue lotus who resides in Nilachala, Jagannath Puri, whose feet are placed on the head of Shesha, who is blissfully immersed in bhakti ras, and who derives happiness from embracing the rasa-laden body of Srimati Radharani. May that Lord Jagannath, Shri Jagannath Dev, be the object of my vision. And another verse from the Padma Purana. Just a few verses here to prove to you the authenticity of my statements. Because in the Vedic system, if you're going to prove something, you have to have Shastric references. It's not based upon, I feel like this, or I've had a realization like this. So in the Padma Purana, there's a famous verse, Yatha Radha Priya Vishnos Tasha Kundam Priyam Tata. Just as Radha is dear to Lord Krishna, so her bathing place, Radha Kund, is dear to him. She alone is his most beloved of all the gopis. And then Padma Purana also has this poem that we chant during Kartik, which is called what? The Damodarashtika. And part of the verse is, Namo Radhikaya Tvatiya Priyaya. Namo Lanta Lilaya Devaya Tubam. Padma Purana, Radharani's name. Other verses like, here's a verse from the Skanda and the Matsya Purana. Varanam Vishalakshi Vimala Purushottame Rukmini Dwarakam Cha Radha Brindavan Vinay. Wow. Durga rules over Varanasi. And Vimala Devi presides over Jagannath Puri. Rukmini Devi is the queen of Dwarka. And in the same way, Radharani is the queen of Brindavan forest. Beautiful verse, isn't it? And here's a verse from the Brihad Gautamiya Tantra spoken by Lord Krishna to Lord Balaram. I'll do the Sanskrit. Sarvam tattvam patatvam cha tattvatrayam aham kilatri tattva ruipine shakti radhika mama balabha. So, my dear, I'm just going to read part of this. I just read part of the verse. I'm the master of the three potencies of the material cause, material effect, and transcendental potency. The three potencies are embedded in Srimati Radharani, who is very dear to me. This Srimati Radharani is the best of Lord Krishna's potency, and there's a verse in the Brihad Gautamiya Tantra, and states the same thing, which actually the same verse that I just read. And let's see. Yeah. Mike? Down. So you can't hear. Trying to speak loudly. Okay. And so, so even in the Devi Bhagavata Purana, it states that Radharani is considered the source of all incarnations, even in the Devi Bhagavat Purana. So anyway, I have like another 1,000 verses I can read. So this authenticates, verifies my statements that Srimati Radharani is the eternal consort of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna. So, anyone have any questions? It's time. Questions or comments about anything I said? Or arguments? Or problems? No, not personal problems. Philosophical problems. Any differences of opinion? Anyway, today we have special mercy of Srimati Radharani. And as I mentioned, if you really want to please Radharani, then we need to study Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Shikshashtaka. And we need to become part of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement, which means we need to assist Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself in the mood of Srimati Radharani, in his mission of spreading Krishna consciousness all over the world. So, thank you very much. All glories to His Divine Grace. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimati Radharani ki jai. Shri Shri Radhagolokananda ki jai. So now it's time for the Abhishek. So Dichin Ryan, Prabhu? Okay. So he'll.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Maharaj, for such a wonderful class on the glories of Srimati Radharani. It's so nice how Maharaj presented the glories of Srimati Radharani. It's such an exalted topic, but Maharaj made it so practical for us to actually appreciate how glorious is Srimati Radharani. So thank you so much. And Maharaj said how at the end of his class, so many quotes, and he said he has 1,000 more quotes just on the presence of Srimati Radharani. All from the Vedic literature. So it's amazing. So thank you so much, Maharaj, for such a wonderful class. Let's give a big Hari Bol and express our gratitude. Hari Bol! His Holiness Bir Krishna Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Hare Krishna. So now we are going to have the Abhishek ceremony. It's always so blissful because we have nice kirtans, everyone can chant and call out for the mercy of Srimati Radharani, and everyone will have an opportunity to bathe, offer Abhishek to Shri Shri Radha Sham Sundar. And the way we are going to do it is